Well, I'm so excited to talk to you. You got your award-winning documentary, Sex, Drugs, and Bicycles, going to be premiering on PBS soon. But before we get into that, here at Bionic Buzz, we're all about people's passion. Where did your passion for filmmaking kind of come from? Was it a certain movie or TV show or something that was just naturally for you as a child?
I think, I grew up in a family where both my parents were, and one's passed on, one is still around, but very passionate about their work and work that was designed to make the world a better place. And so I grew up with that as being a really strong value in my life. And I think that's probably a lot of where it came from. When I would come home from school and go out and play, and then I'd come home and my parents would come home and they'd be working still at night, not because they had to, but because they were really passionate about what they were doing.
Hmm.
And so I would say that's probably where I got it from. But I just started jumping into making little movies when I was a kid. Um, and my parents had a bunch of video and film equipment because of their work, and they let me use it. And fortunately, I didn't break anything. And
That's
so
always
I got an
important,
early
man.
start getting to do that.
Nice. What kind of films did you make as a kid? I'm curious, you know?
Just little funny movies around the house with members of the family,
Mhm.
going outside, shooting kids, playing, and very simple. Not, I wasn't doing the kind of Spielberg level stuff, but I did
Hey, it
my own
started
little,
though, you know?
yeah.
I'm always curious about the journey of a filmmaker, and especially this documentary, because it's about like in Holland and the healthcare and the vaccinations and everything that is going over there. When did you first start to get the idea? When did you first start shooting? All that good stuff.
Well, I had made a movie about Holland back in the 1990s,
Oh wow.
and that had done incredibly well. At the time, Holland was even more liberal than it is now. And it was really off the charts, especially in comparison to America. Back then, we didn't have, like now we have all the marijuana legalization, and there's gay marriage is legal here now. But back then we didn't have any of those things. And Holland was really, really different
Mm.
on so many levels. Um, their taxes were much higher than they are today, and they were spending more money on things like arts programs. So, and it just really freaked me out spending time there. And I said, "Wow, Americans have to see this because this is just so mind blowing compared to how it is in America." So I made that. It did really well. It had an art house run. It grossed over $1 million playing
Oh,
in
that's
cities
awesome.
all over America. Um, and then I went on and I did other things, other films, other projects. And when Trump was elected, I felt like, wow, I really want to make some kind of statement because I feel like Americans really are missing out on what a lot of the rest of the developed world knows.
Hmm.
Um, and the whole idea that you hear people in this country saying, socialism, it's so terrible, and meanwhile they all like their social security and their
Yeah,
Medicare. And,
exactly.
and I said, but like this
They'll
idea.
take the check from Trump about what was that? The stimulation check, sorry. But they hate socialism.
Exactly. And and I thought, this, they keep saying, oh, we'll be like Venezuela. And I thought, no, we're not going to be like Venezuela. We can be like Northern Europe, like Holland, like Denmark, like Germany, countries where everybody has health care, but they have a thriving capitalist society with a
Yeah.
strong stock market, strong business sector, and they are doing really well. And in fact, when you look at the statistics, they're doing much better than us on almost every measure that there is. In fact, I can't think of a single measure where the US is doing better than any of those Northern European countries. And I show a lot of the statistics. And I think that Americans are brought up thinking we're the greatest country in the world. And, you know, which is really kind of like an idea from the 1960s and 50s,
Yeah.
and that's
Post
held
World War
over.
II.
But
Yeah.
we've really lost our place in a lot of areas, and we've let our healthcare slide, and we've let our education slide, and we haven't been investing in ourselves the way I think we should. And so I said, you know, let me go back to Holland and see how they've changed and evolved since 20 years ago. And that's where it came from. I spent a couple of years working on the movie, and then it came out right at the end of 2019, and was playing the festival circuit through 2020, and now it's going to be on TV in February.
Yeah, February 26th. What an interesting name, Sex, Drugs, and Bicycles. How did you come up with that? You know?
Well, the first movie is called Sex, Drugs, and Democracy,
Oh, okay. So this is kind
and
of like you're almost doing like a trilogy almost.
yeah, right, that'll be the next one. And so the you know, in the first one, you know, when I went there, and it was back in the 90s, and like I said, you know, marijuana wasn't, and you know, was totally illegal in America. And you go to Amsterdam as an American, and you're just struck by the legal prostitution and the
Yeah,
legal
the
marijuana
coffee
coffee
shops.
shops,
Yeah.
and just the whole drug policy where drug users are not arrested. And I was like, wow, look at the sex and the drugs and the democracy. You know, like that in America, we are kind of told like the sex and the drugs go against democracy, and they were flipping that whole thing around. So
Mhm.
when I made the new version, I wanted to change it, but keep part of the old one and see how it had developed. And also the first one, this one is intended to be more humorous.
Mhm.
You know, there are a bunch of jokes, and people say funny things, and the animations are kind of funny, Monty Python style. And so and what I decided is bicycles captured the humor of the movie, and it also captured the idea that in Holland, bicycles kind of represent a more democratic approach, because everybody rides a bicycle. You know, the prime minister rides a bicycle to work.
That's
And,
awesome.
you know, so, and everybody tends to ride like a pretty not great bicycle, because they're out in the rain all the time. And people don't get these super fancy bikes because there's also quite a bit of bike theft. And,
Mm.
um, and so I said, you know, I'm going to call this one Sex, Drugs, and Bicycles. And that's where the name came
I
from.
love that. So maybe in another 4 years you'll do another one, or see,
Yeah,
or
right.
maybe you could do in the U.S. and see how things have changed now with the Biden administration.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah. Before I let you go, anything else in the works you're allowed to talk about? Or?
I'm working. I was last year. I was going to be filming a new documentary about animal consciousness,
Mhm.
but that I couldn't travel, or didn't want to travel, and doing
Yeah.
interviews and things is impossible. So I didn't do that. But I've been working on a couple of scripts in the meantime, and hopefully, maybe this year we'll start to get back to more normal, and I can get back into producing again.
Absolutely. Are you on social media by any chance? We can follow your journey going forward.
Absolutely. If you go on any of the social media and you search for Sex, Drugs, and Bicycles,
Awesome.
Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, um, you can find me there, and I'll be posting updates on things.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Jonathan. I can't wait to see Sex, Drugs, and Bicycles. It premieres on PBS February 26th. Thank you so much, man.
Thank you very much.